That's what I do.
Not only does she not notice.
Thanks very much for showing up and for supporting Continuum. You're going to enjoy the first episode, I think, a lot. And we got 13 this season instead of 10, so I think that's also going to be an opportunity to tell more stories and get deeper into the mythology. So at some point we're going to open it up to Q&A, but first I'm going to sort of moderate and let the cast here have some fun with each other. And I asked them earlier in this week if they wanted to ask a question of any of their fellow castmates. So I think I'll start with that.
A serious question, Rachel. So you seem to play a lot of badass, actiony type of women. How did you fall into this type?
I think I got pretty lucky. It started with Alias. That was my first sort of action-oriented role, and my first fight sequence ever was on an oil rig dressed as a Russian hooker in a red wig off the coast of Santa Barbara. And so when you start there, you really kind of want more of it. Call me crazy. And I really started to enjoy it, and then the roles between whether it's G.I. Joe or Conan or playing Kira in Continuum, I kind of gravitate toward that strong female role, and I love it because when you see a fight scene cut together and you see yourself kicking ass, for the record, I don't think I could fight in real life, so let's just lay that out there, but I can look good doing it on film, so that's very fun.
Okay, my question is to Amari and Jen. We are nerds. In the show, we have a lot of complex dialogue. In real life, I was just wondering, for my own personal use, how you guys prepare such long, speechy, tech talk dialogue. How you guys prepare.
I Wikipedia the crap out of it, usually, is how I start. And then just repetition, man. Good old-fashioned repetition. Anyone who will bloody listen.
I will literally say anything someone puts in front of me. So
I gotta keep that in mind.
How do I prepare? I also do the repetition thing. I think Jay-Z actually said, if you repeat something scientifically, if you repeat something 18 times, it is permanently ingrained into your brain. Not permanently, but it'll be ingrained into your brain for the next couple of days. So if you repeat your dialogue 18 times, Jay-Z?
Jay-Z, well done.
So to give the honest answer, that's actually what I do as well. Just repeat it.
He's such a good actor, I can't tell if he's being serious.
What I'm saying is I'm the Jay-Z of sci-fi.
I'm going to ask you guys a few questions that the fans want to know the answers to. So Rachel, in season 2, Kira has been in our time for several months. She's developing a life here in our time. Can you envision a day where she questions her desire to go back home?
That's a really interesting question because immediately I want to say no, absolutely not. She has a life in the future. She has her son. She has her husband. She's desperate to get home to them. But there is this underlying idea in season 2 that the longer time people spend in the present, the more they forget about what exists in the future. The idea for Kira innately is, how could I ever forget about my son and my husband, let alone get to the point where I actively am not trying to get home? So I want to say no immediately, but in my gut, I feel like there is that possibility that it slips away so much that it almost begins to feel like it wasn't real.
That's good. For Victor, Carlos has been shown to play by the rules, but how does he justify covering for Kira even if he doesn't believe in her himself?
She doesn't play by the rules. She's the opposite of Carlos completely, but she's always got my back. She goes out there and she accomplishes things, and she's making a dent. She also has the mandate from Section 6, which I've been ordered to follow, to allow her to do anything at any means necessary, pretty much. So even though I don't agree with it, I'm following orders in letting her do that, and that's how Carlos justifies it.
Okay. Eric, Alec is a computer genius and a self-proclaimed geek. What is his favorite comic book?
I've seen a few lying around, actually, around his lab. I think he would be a Spider-Man fan. I think he would like Spider-Man. He's a genius. Peter Parker is just a smart guy, and maybe one day Alec wants to be Spider-Man and genetically mutate himself. That's what I think.
Okay, I better take a note. Quickly, do not do that.
Well, actually,
Lexa, fans want to know, what is your favorite thing about sci-fi fans?
They're so smart, so educated, so well-read, so engaged, so intellectually challenging, and so committed. And some of them really like to dress in costume, which makes my heart sing.
Steven, Kellogg is one of those lovable rogues the audience loves to hate. As an actor, what are the challenges of playing a character who sees the world in shades of gray?
When I'm playing him, I don't have to worry about whether or not the audience loves or hates me because they both work. So it's fun.
Amari, Lucas is cocky when it comes to science, but timid against physical opponents. Describe Lucas in a fight.
Gangster. Winning. No, I think Lucas, he's an intellectual, right? And the thing that's cool about playing Lucas is, I get to go completely against type and act like a total coward. But I think he kind of reflects how most audience members would react in situations of violence. He's a civilian. He's not a soldier, right? So when stuff's popping off and these guys are shooting guns and stuff, I can just rely on my natural instincts to dive for cover. Did that answer the question?
You'd be dirty. I thought you would be dirty.
Well, I think if he was pushed, he would smack you with his MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
If he had to. Yes.
Sacrifice that machine.
Yeah, he would sacrifice that.
Cool. All right, good.
Yeah.
That one I will write. Last question is for Roger. Roger, this isn't from the internet. This is just me. You seem to be on every frickin' show there is. Two-part question. A, how do you do it? And B, do you have a clone? Or a twin?
You know all about
No,
that.
really.
You created it.
How do you juggle 4 shows or whatever it is you're doing?
Well, it was only 3.
Oh.
The other one was just
It was only 3.
for you, how to do it. Oh.
Only.
a lot of work and a very supportive household. And I had to ask permission from my significant other, and she says, "Okay, go ahead." When the other show popped up, and just study, like he says, by rote. Do it as much as you can, and the nights you can't, you just go to sleep and hope for the best the next day.
Thank you, fans, for being so great, loyal, and supporting Continuum.
Oh, you're doing it.
How do you do it? You start left, okay?
Okay, all right, middle.